statement?
Yes, Mr. Chair, this meeting is being recorded for the minute-taking purposes, as well as for posting of the proceedings on the agency's website. This meeting is also being live streamed on the Access Health CT website. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay, as I request that all participants for the meeting introduce themselves every time they speak. Roll call votes will be taken for every action item. And we call this meeting to order. And if we could take the rolls now.
Yes, Mr. Chair, Thomas McNeil, Chair.
Present.
Stephen Hernandez.
Present.
Thank you. Paul Philpott. And Sean King.
Here.
Thank you. We do have a quorum, Mr. Chair.
Okay, if we could have the Access Health staff introduce themselves.
Good morning, all. James Michelle, Access Health Connecticut.
Good morning, everyone. Holly Zwick, Director of Finance, Access Health Connecticut.
Good morning. This is Rebecca McClear, Director of Technical Operations and Analytics, Access Health Connecticut.
Good morning, everyone. Susan Rich-By, Access Health Connecticut, Director of Legal and Governmental Affairs.
And Glenn Jurgen, morning, everyone. Human Resources Director with Access Health CT.
Okay, I think that does it. Marcin, do we have any public comment this morning?
We did not receive any public comments, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Then the first item on the agenda is the review and approval of the minutes. Does anyone have any comments on the minutes that were circulated? If there are no comments, I'd entertain a motion that the minutes be approved as submitted.
So moved. This is Sean.
Second, Mr. Chair. This is Steve.
Okay.
It's been moved and seconded. If we call for a vote, Tom McNeil, yes.
So, Mr. Chair, after the second, so I'm assuming there is no discussion on the motion before us. Is that correct?
That's correct. I hear no.
Okay. So I'll do the roll call. Thomas McNeil.
Yes.
Thank you. Stephen Hernandez.
Yes.
Paul Philpott. And Sean King.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. Next item on our agenda is a staffing update from Glenn Jurgen.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, members of the committee. Glenn Jurgen, Director of Human Resources here with Access Health CT. And folks, wanted to run through a fairly standard staffing update, but just give you a snapshot of where we are in the organization. First up is where we are with ethnicity. And as you can see, Access Health has a strong representation from a diverse background of employees, specifically in the Hispanic and Black and African American. Also with our Asian employees, which also makes up folks from India as well. We also have some individuals of multiple races. But if there are any questions or comments on this, please let me know. If not, we can advance to the next slide. Okay, Martin, let's go to the next slide, which is generation. And this slide is always interesting because as the population ages and newer members come into our workforce, we can see the difference here. Since I started 6 years ago, this looked much different. Now our millennials are making up the bulk of our workforce, where before it was stronger on the boomers and Generation X. But as you can see, those numbers are going down comparatively. Well, you can't see, but I'm telling you that we've seen a decline in those areas just as people age out of the workforce. So very interesting that the largest single generation is the millennials. And those you can see in the graph here. The key at the bottom gives you the numbers there of that's the generation born between 1981 and 1994, which at one point was the up and coming generation, but now they are one of the predominant generations in the workforce. And we could start to see our share of Gen Z workers is growing. I wouldn't be surprised over the next year or so if we see that become a larger percentage, probably in the 10 to maybe 15% range. We do have a number of younger folks entering the workforce. It's exciting to see folks come in as their first job or their first office job, if you will. And the diversity of opinion we have, not only from ethnicity and generation, is always fascinating, the different ideas and perspective it brings. So not only are we diverse in terms of ethnicity, generationally, we're seeing a lot of different ideas and different styles of working. And frankly, I've seen it too. You can almost see the generational split versus the folks who prefer to communicate through like a Teams chat, or other folks who will pick up the phone and want to do a phone call. There's some folks do a face-to-face meeting. Just very interesting, but welcome any questions or comments from the committee on this before we go to the next slide. Okay, Marcin, if you'd like to move along, thank you very much. Gender, we have a predominantly female organization. 57, almost 58% of our workforce is female, comparatively to about 42% that are male. And just a little context here to why legal there is in parentheses. Our human resource information system actually allows folks to have a legal gender, which is their biological gender, and a preferred gender. So this is the legal snapshot of it. And just as a little bit of an FYI, we don't have anyone currently at the moment who identifies differently than their biological gender. This spread has been fairly consistent over the past few years. Access Health has tended to be higher in the female workforce numbers, and it's been fairly steady. As far as pay type, this has been another area of consistency. Oh, I'm sorry, was there a comment? Okay, pay type. Predominantly, this has been very static over the last number of years. The majority of our employees are salaried employees. This is just due to the nature of their jobs, whether it's in a leadership or management role, or an individual contributor role that tends to require a higher skill set or technical background. As we get into some of our hourly workers, those tend to be our frontline customer service and support people, along with our admin assistants and whatnot. But these areas of the business have been very consistent over the past number of years. Any questions or comments before we switch? Okay, Marcin, why don't we go to the next slide? I'm going to talk about our internship program. This is really exciting. This is part of the company goals, obviously, and the HR goals as well. And I put in a quick summary of what this program is going to look like here. It's designed to bring together interns from various departments to collaborate on a project that will positively impact Access Health CT. So what we plan on doing, folks, is bringing interns into pretty much every area of the business over the summer. They'll certainly be getting experience, whether they're in finance, human resources, plan management, what have you. But we wanted to give them an opportunity to collaborate on a project that could benefit Access Health Connecticut. The project is to be determined, but we have a number of ideas in mind given our strategic initiatives and the fact that we have an innovations committee right now looking at areas to improve in the business, the proverbial better, faster, cheaper way of doing things. And the interns could play a key component in rolling out one of their, or maybe a few of their recommendations. So we have a pretty good pool of projects to tap into, and once we get closer to the program, we'll flush that out and make that available to them. But the whole objective of this program is when you bring everybody together to foster that collaboration, want them to understand how to work with a team. It's kind of giving them, it will give them a snapshot of what it is like to be in an organization where you have to work across departments. You have to work with other subject matter experts to get something across the finish line. You know, in school and whatnot, a lot of these projects are on your own or sometimes with groups, but you're all in the same class. This will give them an opportunity to work with folks who are outside of their learning area, their field of study. So to give them insight into not only the group dynamics, but just other areas of the business. So we feel that this will be a more robust program versus just working for a department. We've had very good success there. We're excited to have this added on responsibility as well. So this will also enhance their learning, as I mentioned, for them to understand different areas of the business, different people, different styles, different approaches, and generate an impact. They can go back, put this on their resume, not only that they had an internship, but they did something that benefited the organization, shows that they have the ability to collaborate, the teamwork that a lot of companies are looking for when they hire people, presentation skills, working across the organization, presenting in front of a leadership team. These folks will have this under their belt before they get out into the workforce, which should help positively impact them when they're searching for a job. And Marcin, if we could go to the next slide. Great, thank you. As far as activities, we plan on having them have regular team meetings, both with their department and the collaboration group as a whole. We'd like to get them into meetings with stakeholders in the organization, whether it's directly on the project they're working with or strategic initiatives. An example of that would be having them meet with members of the shop team as the ICRA software and program gets rolled out. Meet with various members of the SLT. A thought I had here on this is spending time with an SLT member and hearing about how they progress throughout their career. We find a lot of students are extremely curious about how they go from being a new grad out in the field with their first job to getting up into a leadership position. And everyone's always intrigued on how those paths are, because I think many of us landed where we did. Some of us planned to be here. Some of us kind of took more of a roundabout route. So that can be extremely beneficial to them. And potentially having a visit over to the legislative office building. I know a number of us have had the opportunity to go over there. This could be a great opportunity for them just to see how our government works, how the process works. Access Health as a quasi, our relationships with state government, various legislators and stakeholders over there. So it could be a fun opportunity for that. And of course, the final presentation, that will give these young students a good opportunity to get up in front of the SLT, the leadership, ask questions and really put themselves out there. And I imagine for some of them get a bit out of their comfort zone and, answer questions and talk about how they arrived at this. And again, with a successful implementation of this process, being able to put that onto the resume. But this is what I have, folks, for the intern program. So I welcome anyone who has any questions or feedback on that. Okay.
Just a question, if I may, through you, Mr. Chair. This
Sure.
is Steve.
Mhm.
Is there, and you may have said this, I'm so sorry, but is the internship a paid position, or is it volunteer? Do they get credits? How does that work?
Stephen, thank you for bringing that up. Yes, this will be a paid internship. All the interns at Access Health Connecticut are paid for their internship. We have a scale of pay rates based on the department and the responsibilities of the internship, but it is a paid internship. So we just feel that's the fairest approach to make for it. Certainly, I know there are organizations that do it for credit, but these folks, our past experience, they've added significant value to the organization. We had a young man working in the finance department, and we have a young lady right now in the finance area, and they're really actively helping us out. In fact, I got an email from our intern in finance shortly before this meeting started to approve an invoice so they could get things done for month end, or I'm sorry, for the batch that's being processed. So they're very active. It's definitely not your, sit there, watch the clock, get coffee. These are hands-on folks helping us out, getting experience, in benefiting the organization as well. So sorry for the long-winded answer, but we feel paying them is the fair thing to do.
And Steve, we are going to explore the credit possibility of earning credits while they work for Access Health, because that's why we are establishing a very formal intern program where they work in a department, they work on projects, and so we have a lot of almost like educational developmental opportunities within our organization while they help us and while they earn a salary as well. So we will be exploring that to become a credit intern program, you really got to have very processes in place, and you got to meet certain requirements. So we're going to be working with local colleges to make that happen. So for them, it'll be a win-win, and also make us much more attractive. So that's when we'll keep this committee updated as we explore those possibilities as we move forward.
Thanks,
Excellent. Thank
Glenn,
you, Jim.
for a robust program and a great kind of thumbnail description of what's taking place there.
You're welcome, Mr. Chair. Thank you for the feedback. And folks, this concludes my portion of the presentation. So thank you so much for your time, your guidance, and your insight.
Thank you. It looks like we're scheduled for an executive session. And at this time, I'd entertain a motion to go into executive session.
Mr. Chair, would you like to spell out the statute, the reasons for the executive session?
Yeah, the request of this session to discuss personnel matters exempt from disclosure under Connecticut General Statute, Section 1-200, parent 6, parent A.
So, Mr. Chair, would you like to make would you like to request a motion to go into executive session?
Yes, if we have a motion.
So move, Mr. Chair. This is Steve.
Okay,
This is Sean. I'll second.
okay. Any discussion? Hearing no discussion, want to call the roll, Marcy?
Yes. Thomas McNeil,
Yes.
Steve Hernandez,
Yes.
Paul Philpott, and Sean King.
Yes.
So, so at this time, members of the committee will disconnect from the committee call-in number, and we'll connect to a separate executive session call-in, which was provided earlier.
And also,
Now-
Mr. Chairman, with your permission, I'm going to invite myself and Glenn to participate in the executive session.
Okay, that worked for me. And Marcy, I think we come back to this same session that we're in now at the
Yes,
end of
that's
the
correct.
executive
That's correct. That's correct. At the end of the executive session, Chair will request that members of the committee disconnect from the executive session call-in line and reconnect with the committee call-in number.
session. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
I will see you in the executive session, I hope.
executive session, Mr. Chair.
If we could have that motion to exit the
I'll move, Mr.
executive
Chair.
session.
I'll move, Mr. Chair. This is Steve.
Second, Sean.
Okay, any discussion of the motion? Hearing none, why don't we call the roll?
Yes, Mr. Chair. Thomas McNeil,
Yes.
Steven Hernandez.
Yes.
Thank you. Paul Philpott and Sean King.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. Thanks for all of you who've attended this morning, and I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved, Sean.
We have a second from Steve.
Second, Steve.
Thanks,
Second,
Steve.
Steve. Uh-huh.
Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, we can call the roll. Marcia?
Thomas McNeil,
Yes.
Steven Hernandez,
Yes.
Paul Philpott, and Sean King.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you all very
Thank-
much. And
Yeah.
happy holidays to all.
Happy holidays.
Thanks,
Thank
folks.
you, everybody.
Happy holidays.
Thank you.
Happy New Year.
Thank you all.
Enjoy.
Yeah,
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Take care, folks. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.